Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful Friday evening. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Friday?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to the football this weekend, and I enjoyed the game last night.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about coming up. We got a lot of games to get into. Week 3 is underway already. Thursday Night Football. We're going to get into it because there's a lot to talk about. So let's jump in with actually the first topic of today's show. Let's focus on the Buffalo Bills, because they had a great performance. Josh Allen, after this game, becomes the fastest quarterback to reach 300 total touchdowns, including the postseason passes Patrick Mahomes, which, by the way, it's only one game away. So that's how close they are in their careers, at least touchdown-wise. He had a phenomenal game, an efficient game, 3 touchdowns on the day. He actually got the record by a little flip pass to, the third-string tight end, I think. So Josh Allen had a really good game. The defense, although we'll get into it, wasn't as great as we would expect from the Buffalo Bills. But all around, they were able to get a nice 10-point victory over the Miami Dolphins, 31-21. This was an 11.5-point spread. We both missed on this one. But my question to you is just how impressive and what would you grade, really, Buffalo's performance last night against the Dolphins?
A pretty high score. I'd like to go through some of the game before I get into my ranking here. Team. You know, the first half, I think the Bills started slow. I think it didn't seem like they were quite ready to play. The Dolphins came out, had a nice kickoff return, and then they went right down the field and scored on the opening drive. And I think that was a wake-up call for the Bills because the Bills then cooked them, right, with Cook. He was great on that Bills opening drive. They went right down the field, scored with ease. And then the defense stopped the Dolphins, and then Allen was the star on the second drive with a touchdown drive, passing the ball to a variety of receivers. He went right down the field and scored. And stopped the Dolphins again. They went down and a nice drive, but they missed the field goal. With Allen, I thought he played well on that drive as well. Defense is weak on the Dolphins' drive before the first half ended. They seemed to go to sleep again a little bit, and the Dolphins got that TD with just 11 seconds left in the first half. But the Bills had the ball in the first drive in the second half. Again, went right down the field. First drive, second half, Allen passing and running. Then they scored there, and then they kind of stalled the rest of the third quarter. And then the Dolphins tied it up with the first drive in the fourth quarter. Then they made 2 mistakes in this game. They ran into the kicker, giving the Bills the ball back again. And the Bills scored on a pass to Shakur, 25 yards, a very nice play. The Dolphins had a nice drive going, but then they made their second mistake with Tua throwing the interception. And he just didn't see Bernard, and that was really the game because the defense couldn't stop the Bills, and they went down and got that field goal to ice it with 23 seconds left. There was a big play on that drive from Allen to Moore, and that was the game. So two mistakes by the Dolphins beat them. When I look at the game overall, I think the Bills played well on offense. They didn't have any turnovers or any big mistakes. The defense could have been better, but I think they were playing against a desperate Dolphins team. The Dolphins are desperate. They were down 0-2. You know, their coach is looking maybe to be fired if they get blown out here in this game. And so I think it was a little tougher for the defense here, and I think they might have not really been up for the Dolphins, thinking it was going to be a cakewalk, and it wasn't. So I think the defense could have played better, but they played well enough to win, and then the Bills are 3-0, and I guess that says it all.
Well, I would say that overall, I'm actually not that impressed with the Buffalo Bills' performance because we just saw an explosive offense against the Jets. Again, James Cook couldn't be stopped. They had 224 yards again in the game against the Jets. And in this one, they did a very, very nice job running the football. James Cook seemed to get like every single run was 10-plus yards. And Josh Allen was just as efficient as he ever was. He had some crazy plays, like a couple flip passes. A couple of them were complete. Others were incomplete. But the defense worried me a little bit, letting Tua and this Miami Dolphins offense which isn't good to begin with. They could run the ball better. I believe they just had their season high in rushing yards. And then they also were 10 of 15 on third down. That's what the Bills allowed. When they just came off a game against the New York Jets, and again, I don't know what our opinion is on the Jets. Justin Fields played absolutely horrifically in week 2. But overall, last week, they allowed the Jets to go 0-11 on third down. In this game, 10 of 15. So could it just be a one-off? They did go 7 of 15 on third down. The defense did against the Baltimore Ravens. So is this a bad third down defense? They're 12th in the league right now, but I think that could be larger part due to the 0-11 performance that they just put on against the Jets. But again, if we think the Jets are a terrible team, well, how much weight do we want to put on that against one bad team, the New York Jets, against an all right but 0-3 team in the Miami Dolphins, they went 10 and 15, and then against the Baltimore Ravens, they went 7 and 15. So I'm saying that they're not going to be a very good third down defense. However, they do go up against the New Orleans Saints, the New England Patriots. Again, I don't know what your opinion on is, but moving forward, they play the Miami Dolphins again. They play the Saints. They play the Panthers. They play the Texans. They play the Bengals without Joe Burrow. They play the Cleveland Browns, and then they play the Jets again. So that's 7 games where you could just absolutely dominate. So I'm throwing at least 7 more wins. But you also got the Falcons. You have the Kansas City Chiefs, who they normally beat in the regular season. They have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a real shot that this Bills team, I'm not saying run the gauntlet, go 17-0, but I think that this could be a 15-2, 14-3 team. Because Josh Allen seems to do everything right. His athletic ability, obviously, is top of the league. I think he has a stronger arm than Mahomes does. His athletic ability is that of a Lamar, Jalen Hurts, that kind of, style point to it. He was just the MVP, and he's validating it this season, going up against the Baltimore Ravens and leading that game-winning drive, which they kicked, I believe, the game-winning field goal against the Baltimore Ravens to beat them after Derrick Henry fumbled, but he orchestrated that massive fourth quarter where the Ravens absolutely choked it, and then against the Jets, it was just efficiency. That's what Josh Allen was last year. It wasn't, 400 yards, 350 yards. It was just really efficient football, and that's what the Bills desperately need right now. This was never going to be a team with a top-tier playmaker. They had Stephon Diggs, and where did they go? Really nowhere. They still can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, but ultimately this team will rely on Josh Allen, and the way that he's really changed his game, because if we remember 1 year after Brian Daboll left as the OC, what happened? Josh Allen led the league in red zone interceptions. Since then, he's basically, I think in the last 14 games, he has 30 touchdowns, 1 turnover, 30 total. He has toned down the turnovers massively. He does not get sacked anymore, so their offensive line plus Josh Allen's elusiveness is top of the league right now. They currently have a flat-out no turnovers. They lead the league in that so far. And their defense right now has the 7th most fumbles recovered and the 11th most turnovers. So their defense right now is the 8th overall, and their offense is 2nd. So this team right now is built to succeed. This might be the best Buffalo Bills team that we've seen yet, because they're running the ball at a great level. They're efficient right now, 14th most pass attempts, 7th most passing yards. So I think right now, the way the Buffalo Bills played, again, I don't put much stock into the Miami Dolphins. I've said now, and we're going to talk about it now for 3 straight weeks, I'm saying that they need to make drastic changes. And I think with these, mounting losses for the Dolphins, they are going to make changes, although their owner seems very reluctant to fire or get rid of some key issues for the Dolphins. But when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, they played great defense again. Tua's operated the first drive. They went right down the field and absolutely destroyed them on the first drive. And then it seemed to just be like nip and tuck, back and forth, offense scores, defensive stop. But the thing that doesn't let me say that this was an impressive performance was, even with the blocked punt, or the roughing the punter, if Tua just didn't make that read or make that throw, I think the feeling was, oh, this is going to go into overtime. Which that's a little bit shocking for a Dolphins team that after 1 week had a players-only meeting, who their head coach and quarterback can't seem to get on the right page. So, and also there was a bombshell report out how players would come in late to meetings and take advantage of that, and there was, a bunch of fines and disciplinary action last season, and people are upset about that. So this Dolphins team is reeling. It needs to make some monumental changes, and they were that close to tying the game up and sending it into overtime if Tua doesn't have another costly game-sealing loss for the Miami Dolphins to give the win over to the opposing team. So if I'm going to put a grade to this game, I'm giving them, a B- at the very best?
Well, if they won the game, look at Allen, 22 of 28, 213, 3 TDs.
Right, but this
He
is a
doesn't
team
have a
that
turnover yet
dominates
this
them.
year.
Right, he doesn't. They didn't play well,
Cook,
though.
19 carries, 108 yards, a TD.
Okay.
Then Kincaid had 5 for 66 and a TD, but Allen spread the ball around to the receivers. So
Sure.
I don't think you can. I think it's better than a B minus.
They let the team who is dead last in attempts and 25th in rushing yards allow the running back to have
I'm
the
not sure
season high right now.
I don't think you can say. I don't think you can. It's a foregone conclusion. It was going to go into overtime if the Dolphins
They were
scored.
right there.
Yeah, but there were 4 minutes left in the game.
The defense just before the punt kick, they just did a 3 and out, or the roughing the punter. They just forced the Bills to go 3 and out.
Well, the Bills went right down the field after they got the ball back on the interception.
Well, they were 3 yards away from the end zone.
No, but not when the interception occurred. The interception.
No.
Yeah, the interception.
Well, the game was over by then because all you needed was one first down.
No,
the
it wasn't
game's over.
There was still 3 minutes or so left, and they went down the field.
Right.
They burned up the time. There was only 23 seconds left when they kicked the field goal.
The Dolphins had one timeout or 2 timeouts at that point. So essentially, you need one first down, the 2-minute warning, and then the game's over.
I think you're right. The Bills have a good chance to go, 15-2 this year.
Yeah,
and I think there's a very good chance they will.
Well, I think overall, if you let a team have its season high in rushing yards when they're almost the worst team in the NFL in rushing, you let Tua. By the way, Tua had a bad performance. The first time he had 100 yards in this game was in the fourth quarter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he had no turnovers up to this point, you can't generate a turnover for the guy who I think leads the league in turnovers right now. That's a bit of an issue until the very end of the game, which I guess Tua now has a...
It was key. It was a key turnover, and they got it.
It was also allowing this team to go 10 of 15 on third down. I'm not saying they played poorly. They just did not live up to what they've been playing at, the high expectations we have for them.
Then. Let's
all right, let's go to the next topic then.
Yeah.
Because, let me do the intro here. Tua, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception on the potential game-tying drive, or maybe game-winning. I think Mike McDaniel may have actually maybe gone for 2. That's the feeling I was having. This marks the second straight game where Tua has had a game-sealing pick to end the game for the Dolphins, leading in a loss. So my question to you is, what was your reaction to the Dolphins' loss against the Bills?
I think they were competitive against a better team on the road. Right? They were on the road. The Bills are definitely a better team than the Dolphins, and they were competitive. So I think that saves Mike McDaniel's job for maybe a couple of weeks, but maybe it shouldn't because, they had a chance to tie the game, but Tua threw the interception. And here's the big stat that I have a problem with Mike McDaniel about. Tua, 22 of 34, only 146 yards. He did have 2 TDs. He threw an interception. But, they have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they have Tua. That is supposed to be their calling card. They're supposed to be sort of like the Bengals, being able to go up and down the field with the passing game, with these big stars. And that's Mike McDaniel. He's supposed to be an offensive a guru, right? And make that happen. And there has been times in the past where he has been able to make that happen, but not this year. Nothing. They've been terrible every game, basically. I mean, only 146 yards when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Come on. That's a problem. They need to get the passing game going with Waddle and Hill. And the defense gave up 360 yards, too. Their defense is nothing to write home about.
Well, I think that doesn't really fall on Mike McDaniel because the offensive line can't hold up. They currently have the 2 worst guards in the NFL. And in this one, if we don't have the play, but on that interception, the right guard got absolutely blown up, and Tua had a defender right in his face. So you can't really operate down the field, and Tua has been, getting Tyreek Hill involved a little bit in this game. He was the leading receiver.
Yeah, 5 receptions for, 50 or 60 yards? Nothing.
Well, they're going up against a great defense. Tua isn't a good quarterback.
I didn't think the defense didn't play so great for the Bills last night, right?
What? You just told me they played great.
No, they played okay. They didn't play great. I think that was the weak link for the Bills. The offense played fine. I thought it was the defense that was a little lackadaisical on 3 drives.
That's what I was saying, and you told me no.
They aren't getting them. Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest receivers in the NFL. Their calling card in the past and their identity has been the long pass to him or to Waddle. And they haven't been able to do it at all this year.
Well, they did it once, I think, against the Patriots. A couple times against the Patriots. But again,
they lost the game.
Look at who your quarterback is. You have a bad quarterback. So again, it's like saying, okay, Bailey Zappi, you have these two great receivers. Make them what they are. It can't happen.
You think Tua was a bad quarterback?
I don't think I've said he's ever a good quarterback. If I did, I was wrong or too much in the moment. No, I don't think Tua was a good quarterback.
What's his record as a starter? I think it's not
38 and I think 22.
Okay, he's a winner. Yeah. He's a winner as a starter.
Not against good teams. In fact, this is his record against winning teams. 10-21, a 62.5% completion percentage, 218 passing yards a game, 6.7 yards per pass, 41 touchdowns to 36 turnovers, and a pass rating of 82.8. That pass rating is below average. No. That's nearly a 1-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio. Passing yards per attempt is all right. Passing yards is not great. Completion percentage is average, and he has a losing record. And on top of the fact is, 65-degree weather. We would love that year round. That's like California weather, Florida weather. He can't succeed in that. He's 7-19 in games of 65 degrees and below.
Yeah, well.
So how can we say he's a good quarterback when, he has moments, he has games, like against the Baltimore Ravens a couple years ago, he had 6 touchdowns.
The record against the very good teams is the offensive line couldn't protect him. Or the running game couldn't get any yards at all, putting all the pressure on him.
But that's what you're saying. You're saying that you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They should do better.
Yeah, they did. They need to do better. That's for sure.
Well, they've had Tyreek Hill.
I put that on McDaniel. He's the head coach. He's got to be able to put a scheme together that will unlock that talent. And he's not been able to do it this year at all.
Well, I think you take a look at the film.
And last year, he had a bunch of injuries. But Tua did come back, and they didn't win much then. So I think he is on the hot seat. His game he was saved by this game for at least a couple of weeks. We'll see. If they get blown out the next couple of games, then I think he's back in the frying pan.
Well, I think right now, I've said this about Brian Daboll. I've said this about Shane Steichen with Anthony Richardson. You could scheme up the best offensive play, one that would be a one-play touchdown for a lot of teams that have good quarterbacks. If your quarterback can't see the guy or can't complete the pass, then the play goes to waste. There have been several opportunities for Tua to make big plays. There was one against the New England Patriots on that very last drive where he completely overthrew Tyreek Hill. He was wide open. It would have been a first down. And then on the following play, he has Julian Hill, I believe, the tight end, wide open in the flat. Instead, he throws an interception to Marte Mapu. And then, they lose the game. Tua's had these opportunities to complete these passes. And if you have a sub 33% winning percentage against winning teams, then how are you a winner? That means you just beat up on bad teams, which any competent quarterback should be able to do. That's why you're a starter in the NFL. That's why you're making $53 million a year. Tua has not lived up to that contract. He's had one really good year, but he's massively injury prone, and he plays 70% of a season all right. Then the back 30, you can't play him because, again, in cold weather, he's winless in 45-degree below weather.
When the temperature drops below 65, then you bench him.
I'm not saying bench him. I'm saying I really think there are 3 things I said a couple shows ago that will happen. The first thing would be Mike McDaniel. I've already said this. Mike McDaniel's job is gone. People saying he hasn't lost the locker room. Well, the reports are coming out saying that, first of all, they had a player-only meeting after 1 week. That's an issue. There was a bombshell saying that players would just consistently show up late to meetings, and that seemed to be all right. They got disciplinary and then fined and let go or whatever, but still that was allowed to happen. They're not playing up to the level whatsoever of a team that you would expect to win. I think Chris Greer is a horrible GM so far because this is the offensive line that he's built. You think Mike McDaniel's a bad head coach? I'm saying he's working with what he's got, which is, lackluster talent. So that's the first thing. Mike McDaniel will get fired. The second thing will be, and we saw it at the very end of the game, Tyreek Hill looks pissed off. He's been looking pissed off. At the very end of the season, he said, I'm out. He took himself out of the very last game of the season. So he'll be gone, maybe by the trade deadline, maybe at the end of the year, but he will be gone. And the last one would be, if it's Chris Greer, if it's another GM, I'd be looking for another quarterback. I know you just paid Tua last season money, but you have him for 70% of the season, and he's okay. He's talking about getting in rhythm. That's his whole thing. That's what he has to do. Get the ball quick and in rhythm. If he's still working on rhythm, well then that's a disconnect between him and the head coach, or maybe him and the rest of the offense. But these guys that he's throwing to, he's had.
Well, I don't think they're going to be getting rid of him anytime soon with the contract they just gave him.
They should. That's my whole thing. They should, because what's he doing for you? This is the second consecutive game where he's throwing a
Who
game-sealing
do the
interception.
Dolphins have next?
After this game, they go up against, let's bring it up. They go home against the Jets, at Carolina, home against the Chargers. Those are the next 3 games.
Well, they should win the next 2 then. They have to win the next 2.
You would think. The next one's on Monday Night Football, so they have a long break for playing the Jets
They'll
at
have a hard
home.
time beating the Jets, I think.
Well, we'll see if Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor's out there. If it's Tyrod Taylor, I would say be careful, Tyreek and Tua. Because I think Tyrod Taylor, he operated the offense against the Buffalo Bills better than Justin Fields did. Justin Fields went like 3 of 11 against the Bills. Tyrod Taylor was actually able to score a touchdown against them. So we'll see. Tyrod Taylor will be the quarterback this week against the broken down Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I might add. At Carolina nearly beat Arizona last week. Maybe there's something this week. I have the Falcons beating them this week, but we'll see. Home against that's going to be a loss. Home against the Chargers. At Cleveland.
Yeah, maybe the 3 out of the next 4 they'd have to win.
I don't know. We might be seeing Dylan Gabriel at that point. So how are you going to scheme against a guy that you haven't played against? Or that hasn't played really at all? You don't have film on him.
Well, the
Could shock
Browns
some
have an
people.
excellent defense, nothing else.
That's true. I would give you that. No, the Dolphins are screwed. They have 8.5 over-under wins. There's no way they get to that 8 number unless all of a sudden. And by the way, Anthony Weaver was getting head coaching looks. Having a defense performing this poorly overall, what are the chances he'll be hired as a head coach next year?
Yeah, I don't see they have that much talent on defense. I mean, none of those players, I don't even know who they are. Who was that big player on defense?
Minka Fitzpatrick that they traded for in the offseason?
Okay, well, that's it. Who else? They don't really have any other
Matt
big names.
Judon, former Patriot.
Yeah, well, he's a little over the hill.
Bradley Chubb, Jordan Brooks, Tyrell Dotson, who I like, Jack Jones, Jalen Phillips. They have some dudes. Now, cornerback is where they're getting absolutely killed in because right now they only have 3 healthy cornerbacks because a couple of them went down last game. They have some pass rushers, just they're not performing very well. Chop Robinson as well. They're just not performing up to it. Could that be defensive scheme? Could that just be the competition they're up against? They're just not performing well overall. They're letting Josh Allen go up and down the field. They let Drake May look like an all-pro quarterback. I mean, they made Daniel Jones look like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame after that first game, the way he was just absolutely destroying that defense. So, again, it's the way I'm looking at it is Mike McDaniel will get fired because it has been from 9-8 to 11-6 to just mediocrity and now to pitiful performances. There's only been one team since 2000 to make the playoffs after going 0-3, and it was the Houston Texans in 2018. They went, I think, 11-5 and won their division. The Dolphins are not winning the division. They're not passing the Buffalo Bills, and my guess is at this point they're not beating out the New England Patriots either.
They have a chance to win 3 out of the next 4, and that would put them 3-4.
Okay, but
So,
you're asking for basically a prayer at that point. Because are the Panthers really that bad? Yes, so
yes,
far
they are.
they've been that bad. But Bryce Young last game
Are the
against
Jets that bad? Well, maybe yes.
I think they'll put up a nice fight against
Is Cleveland
Tampa.
bad? Well, look at Joe Flacco. He's a statue
He might not be
out
there anymore.
Yeah.
It sounds like Dylan Gabriel may get the nod next week if Flacco has a bad game. Although they are playing.
Well, I
Green
can't
Bay
say
this
that
week.
Dylan Gabriel is going to do a whole lot better. He's a rookie.
So?
Yeah. I think the Browns that they're not going anywhere this year.
I agree with you. I bet them under 4.5 wins this year. I think they're going absolutely nowhere. But yeah, there's no way I see 8 wins here. Tampa, they play Cincinnati. Maybe Joe Burrow's back at that point. They'll play the Patriots again, the Ravens, the Bills, the Commanders, the Falcons, the Chargers. Those are all upcoming games. The Steelers, depending on what your opinion is of them. The Jets, we'll see what that game looks like in 1 week from now on Monday Night Football.
They have to win that game. That's
well,
a
if you start off
must-win.
0-4, I mean,
Yeah, that's a must-win.
Ian
They have to win that
Yeah,
game.
Let me bring up the quote. Ian Rappaport reported that Stephen Ross, the owner, does not want to fire Mike McDaniel, and he said that he likes him, he believes in him, he has invested in him, including a contract extension, which he still has 2 years and $19 million left after this year. However, nothing is imminent, but there's a caveat that can change. If fans stop showing up to the stadium or if players stop playing for him, that can alter the situation. Well, based on the performances and I would look at, I'd look at how my players are playing and the fact that 1 week into the season, they had a players-only meeting.
Yeah, but they played for him last night. Last night, the players played for him.
Well, Tua might have been a double agent because he threw it to the Buffalo Bills again.
Okay, it was one turnover.
Sealing, yeah, but that sealed the game for the Bills.
Did seal the game, but I do think overall the players played for him. They were on the road and they had a competitive game. I don't think that cost him his job.
Well, I think right now, based on the fact that the bar is just have your players put in effort. You can go 0-17, but just put in some effort.
I'm not saying that at all.
That's what Stephen Ross is saying. If fans stop showing up or players stop playing for them. So as long as there are butts in seats.
Well, that's an issue with the owner. The owner should say we need to start winning some games.
Well, speaking about that, I want to get into this before we get into our break here, because that's the rule, apparently, that Brian Daboll is now being held to, because in a report by Tony Paulina Sportskeeda, he reports that actually Brian Daboll's job and Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, their jobs are actually on the line, it looks like, because it looks like that they're one step away. They need to start winning games, because the report is that their jobs are hanging on by a thread, and they could both be fired by the end of the season if they do not win soon. And it looks like with their schedule, which I'll pull up right now, it doesn't look like any wins are coming soon. Because you play against two phenomenal teams. I think the Chiefs, they're going to get their first win this weekend. And then you go up against the Chargers, which their offense is great, and their defense might be even better. And then your first opportunity to win is against the New Orleans Saints. Here's the interesting thing. We could be seeing Jackson Dart as soon as the game against the Chargers, if for some reason they get blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs. Or at least by the very latest against the Saints, Jackson Dart will be out there. So there's an opportunity for not only the defensive coordinator and the head coach to get fired, and Russell Wilson might get replaced. So here's my question to you is, do you think Brian Daboll and or Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, will survive the end of the season?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. The Giants don't have a history of firing coaches in the middle of the year. I'm not sure they've ever even done it. Have they ever replaced a coach in the middle of the year? I'm not sure. I don't think so. So maybe the defensive coordinator, that would be Daboll, would fire him, and he deserves to be fired. I mean, their total defense is last. It's giving up 315 yards a game, 32nd in rushing with 177.5 yards per game, 29th in passing, 277.5 yards. Scoring, they're giving up, they're 27th. They give up 30.5 points a game. Red zone, they give up scoring 85, almost 86% of the time. Third down, they're 15th with 40% success rate on the other team. The total offense, on the other hand, is 6th, actually, 368.5 yards. Passing is first, Nate.
Well, that's because Russell Wilson almost had 500 yards last week.
Yeah. And the rushing is 29th, 79 yards, and they should have seen that coming in, that was going to be bad. They really did nothing about it. Scoring, they're 18th. Red zone, the 31st, 14% success rate. Third down, they're 27th, 33% success rate. So the stats are really bad. I don't know. I would think, after 2 games, it's tough to fire somebody after 2 games. If they get blown out by the Chiefs, and then I think that at least Bowen will be fired, because that will be Daboll doing it. I would say their offense, was uncompetitive in the 21-6 loss to the Commanders. The defense was a problem in the 40-37 loss to the Cowboys in overtime. I'd say despite the offensive passer rating, Daboll likely to turn to Dart, I think, if they lose big on Sunday night. And actually, he may wait, because does he want Dart to go up against the Chargers in his first game? That's tough. He might want to wait for the Saints. I'd say since going 9-7, making the playoffs and winning a playoff game against the Vikings in 2022, Daboll is 9-27 since then. With Daniel Jones starting 2-0 with the Colts, I think Daboll even faces even more scrutiny in New York. And Bowen, his defense has given up 21 points in the fourth quarter against the Cowboys. They went to a prevent defense when they were leading 37-24. How can you do that? That's only, that's a 3-point lead. You can't go prevent at that point in time. I think, Bowen was a bad hire by Daboll. Yeah, you got to throw that one on him. The Giants have talent on defense. They have Abdul Carter. You haven't heard much about him. He was the highest drafted rookie defensive player. They have Burns, Lawrence, and Thibodeau. And those guys are doing nothing. So it's serious problems there. And I think, the losses keep mounting up. at least the defensive coordinator will be gone for sure. And I don't see the Giants. They're not known for firing their head coach in midseason.
Well, just like the Bears never did it in their franchise history with Matt Eberflus, they did it eventually. And I think that's the direction we're heading for because, again, did I expect Russell Wilson to ever throw for nearly 500 yards? No, but last year he did throw for over 400. I believe it was against the Cincinnati Bengals, so he has these games. But I said it's like LeBron. You can't have him, you can't let Russ cook all season. He might have, a couple nice dishes here and there where he dishes up a nice 400 piece. But overall, you can't have the let Russ cook guy stay for the entire season. And that's what's interesting is in the game against the Cowboys, he was making gourmet dishes for everybody. Take one for you. It was like Oprah out there. But when it mattered the most, late in the game, well, eventually, he burnt down the kitchen, as Russ always does. In week 1, it was horrible. Week 2, it looked great. I mean, his deep ball was on point. They were doing it a lot more than they did in week 1. But ultimately, Russ burnt down the kitchen like he actually always does. Because guess what? And I said this entering the year. This is why I thought, the Giants wouldn't be any good. Russell Wilson benefits the most from a good defense, Legion of Boom, and having a top 3 running game. The let Russ cook era is what's going to define him and why I think he'll be kept out of the Hall of Fame. And he for sure is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the more that these games get more of these games get stockpiled of Russ losing games, not playing well. Week 1 wasn't great. He had a nice bounce back in week 2. We'll see what, against the Chiefs, who are 0-2 for the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era. The first time Mahomes has been 0-2 since he was a sophomore in high school, and the first time the Chiefs were 0-2 since 2014, where they missed the playoffs that year, I might add. The Giants have an opportunity, and their defense isn't looking good. The Chiefs' offense is looking abysmal. Patrick Mahomes doesn't even look like a top 12 quarterback in the league anymore. This is the opportunity for things to change. And I know that's crazy, talking about, a team going 5 out of the last 6 Super Bowls, and all of a sudden that's your jumping point. But it is. The Chiefs are playing as worse as we may have ever seen them play. Mahomes is looking horrible right now. He's not throwing the ball downfield. The offense looks really stagnant. They can't run the ball. So this is your opportunity to at least put up a decent performance. And if all of a sudden Mahomes reverts back to his Super Bowl winning form, or all of a sudden now we're seeing Xavier Worthy or Tyquan Thornton go up the seam for a massive gain, well, then it's like, oh, this is not good. We're in you may get fired once you walk in the locker room territory, because the Chiefs offense has done really nothing that special. And the defense has been very, very lackluster. And in fact, Brian Daboll's coaching record is horrible. In his head coaching career, Brian Daboll has an astounding record of 18-34-1, a 36.3% winning percentage. That's pretty bad. In fact, that's really, really bad. But he does have that one playoff win. He does have that one playoff appearance with Daniel Jones in 2022. I remember at week 1, the come-from-behind game against the Tennessee Titans. Saquon had a good game. But I think overall, we'll see Jackson Dart by the end of the year. And I think what we're really waiting for and why they didn't want to push Dart out there immediately was because I think all they're waiting for is for Andrew Thomas to get healthy. He's a top 3 tackle in the league when healthy. He's right now recovering from a Linz-Frank injury. So once he's ready to go, I think we'll see Jackson Dart out there basically immediately. Maybe it'll be one game to knock off a bit of the rust, and that might be week 4 against the Los Angeles Chargers. But I think ultimately, week 5, if he somehow survives week 5, then week 6, we'll see Jackson Dart out there, hopefully with a fully healthy offense. I don't think that'll change anything. And I said going into the season, Brian Daboll won't be the head coach because I think bad quarterbacks get good head coaches fired, and I think this will be an example of it. But I agree with you. The massive deficiency for this team, which I don't think we really expected with the amount of pieces that they acquired and what they drafted, was their defense. Their defense is horrible.
It's horrible. It's the worst.
They're not pressuring anybody.
It's the worst in the league.
Right. They're giving up a bunch of yards. The running defense, I mean, you have massive guys right in the middle. You can't clog the running lane at all. You're getting cooked. You're dead last in running defense.
I think there is one way that Daboll could save his job. Well, there's 2 ways. He could start winning all the games, right?
Impossible. Let's take a look at the schedule.
That isn't going to happen because they have the toughest schedule in the league. So that's not going to happen. The other way they could do it is bench Russ, and Dart gets in there and plays like an all-pro.
Not going to happen.
But that's the other way. That's the only other way I can see, because Daboll was anxious to draft him. He said, "This is the guy. This is our guy. This is our future." So if they do bench Russ and Dart shows that he is the future, and they win. They pull out some games and they win some games they're not expected to win, and they wind up winning. I don't know, maybe 5 games. And Dart is a hero in many of those games, and Daboll could save his job. That would be one way to do it. So maybe the best move is to bench Russ as quick as possible and find out if Dart really is any good, because that's the only way Daboll has a chance to save his job.
Okay, let's go through it. 4 to 5 wins. I'm wondering.
Saints
is 1. Where else do you see the 4 to 5 wins?
I'm wondering about the Broncos now. We're going to talk about the game picks. Is Bo Nix having a sophomore slump here? He looks terrible.
I think he is.
The Bears, maybe. The Bears look terrible so
that's
far.
3.
The Patriots, who knows? So that could be 4. And then the Raiders, that's 5. Okay. So there you go. 5 wins.
I would not say
if they
the
got
Raiders.
5 wins
and
Dart looked like Jaden Daniels did last year, then I would say
that's a bit much.
Then I would say that Daboll hangs on to his job. But seeing Daniel Jones out there lighting it up now, one of the best quarterbacks in the league through 2 weeks with a QBR at number 5 at 87.5. That doesn't play well for Daboll. I mean, they put some talent around Daniel Jones, and he's showing that he can play. Right, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
the nice receiving core, a little protection back there, so you drop back and the defense is all there waiting for you.
Right.
So I think that this is all on Daboll, and it doesn't help him at all.
Well,
Daniel Jones is playing great.
That's probably the worst look you could have, is that the guy that you basically kicked out of New York, sent him away to never be seen again, all of a sudden now is 2-0, and based on EPA, has the best passing EPA in the league, above any other team. The Indianapolis Colts are
They
the
haven't
number 1
punted
team.
once.
Correct.
They have not punted.
Correct. First time in NFL history,
The
basically.
stats through 2 games are up there with Peyton Manning. It's like all pros with who was the other quarterback that the Colts had that retired? Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
He's up playing like that. If you can keep that going, that's not good for Brian Daboll. I'm sorry.
I mean, again, what I think the massive thing is we can't overreact based on expectations. My expectations were dead last. We're just, this is going to be a really bad team.
Yeah, well, so far we're right. I said the same thing. The Giants weren't going to be any good.
Again, it's level of expectation. If you're like, okay, they're going to have a top 5 defense, and then you're looking dead last, okay, then you're like, what's going on? The offense, it's going to be so great. You have Russell Wilson. I saw what Russell Wilson did the last 5 games in Pittsburgh. I saw what he did with the Denver Broncos. He looked like a terrible quarterback.
He's number 1 in passing.
I said it 2 years ago that
the
I thought he
Giants
would
are
make
number 1 in passing right now.
Well, that's because when you have 422 passing yards.
He did do it. They did do it. All right, he's passed for over 400 yards against the Cowboys.
Hold on. You're going against Trayvon Diggs, who's notoriously known for giving up massive amount of yards. The only thing he's known for is getting interceptions, which if he's not doing that, he's giving up 1,000 yards a season. I mean, he did make some phenomenal
Cowboys
throws.
didn't give up those kind of yards to Jalen Hurts.
Well,
right in game 1.
Well, as what we're
Jalen
seeing,
Hurts, the Cowboys, the Eagles had to run to win. They had to run to win that game.
Well, they're doing that regardless. Jalen Hurts hasn't passed more than 30 times in in 2 seasons. They've done it once in the last 16 or 20 games or something like that. So they are not throwing the football whatsoever. So it doesn't matter that it was the Dallas Cowboys. That's just not what they're doing. Against the Cowboys, I mean, you could look at it. Yes, Russell Wilson did make some great throws. There was a touchdown to, I think it was either Wan'Dale or Neighbors in the end. I mean, it was a beautiful throw. But there were also some throws where the guy is wide open, 15 yards and then for the next nearest defender. I mean, you and I could probably make a couple of those wide open throws.
I don't know about me.
I mean, they were pretty wide open. A high school player could probably make a couple of those throws. The Dallas secondary was getting cooked all game. Yeah, so it's not like, there were some great throws. Russ, very tight windows. But ultimately, it's you throw up 400-plus yards, nearly 500 yards of passing, and you wonder, not every single one of those throws is going to be breadbasket right there, tight window. Only Russ can make that kind of a throw. It's going to be
here's the thing.
Wide open yards after the catch.
If Russell Wilson has that kind of game against the Chiefs and has that kind of game against the Chargers,
well, then, I would say,
and they don't win any of those games, he's still going to get benched.
Well,
he's going to get benched.
About that.
He's going to be benched.
No. I think Brian Daboll or John Mara, they'll fire Shane Bowen. Because if Russ is putting up 400 yards a game and they're not winning games, that's completely on the defense. 1,000% that's on the defense. Because then who are you going to blame? Well, if Russ put up 400 yards, unless he's throwing for like 3 interceptions a game too.
Yeah, but then they're going to be 0-4. They're out of it. Right, they're out of it. But particularly with the teams they have to play coming up. So why wouldn't they start Dart at that point? I don't know why they wouldn't. And hiring Bowen is on Daboll.
No, I mean the owner has to sign off on that though. The owner has to be like,
what's the owner trusts the head coach to be able to bring in the coaches that are going to be able to help them win? This guy's done a horrible job. I mean, they have talent on defense.
They do.
They should not be last.
Well, I'll say,
last year
secondary I was never fond of.
No, but they have the talent up front to pressure the quarterback.
They do.
And that should help the secondary.
You would think so. But Dexter Lawrence, he's doing. Brian Burns hasn't done much. Abdul Carter, we haven't really even heard his name.
I haven't heard his name.
At all. Darius Alexander, another one of their picks. I think they got picked in the 3rd round. He's done nothing. I mean, the defensive front has been pretty bad. They were actually a decent pass rush team last year. Decent, not great. Now this year you added talent, but you're doing significantly worse. It's a really bad look for Shane Bowen. A very, very bad look. All right, coming up, week 3. We're already 1 game down. I think we have 15 to go. We'll make our picks, as well as we had a terrible week for the Harvey Hot Hand. Thank God for the audible 6th team that we put in there at the very end. Good call by you for letting me put that in. We had a very bad week last week. We're going to rebound here. I love some of these games coming up. We'll talk about that right after this short break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a beautiful Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is we're making our weekly picks every single week of the NFL season. We make our picks for who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's going to cover the spread. We actually tied this past week, on win-loss, and then you took me over in point spread this week after not putting up your best performance last week. I think what 2-14, 3-13, 3-13. 4-12. Excuse me. I don't want to cut you 4-12 in the spread. Well, no, this week you went 9-7. You beat me this week right now.
My bad performance. We're on to week 2.
I know. Yeah, that's why I just said that.
9-7.
You beat me. I was 7-9 this week. We tied in the win-loss. Right now, you're beating me in. What's your spread record? Do I have it?
It's terrible. 13-19.
Okay, you're about 3 games behind of me. So
good. I mean, within striking distance.
You are within striking distance. Let's begin with my pick. I'll start us off as per usual. We'll start with my first pick, which it was actually I had the Bills winning and the Dolphins covering. I missed on the point spread, so I'm already 0-1 in the point spread. Not looking good for this year. Not looking good in the point spread. Hopefully, we're going to bounce back. I've been doing pretty well so far.
Only week 3.
It's only week 3, exactly. That's a good mindset to have. I do start off 1-0, no win-loss. I'll take it. But let's go with the actual picks for this Sunday through Monday. First one is the Packers, minus 7.5 point favorites on the road at Cleveland. I will take the Green Bay Packers, minus 7.5 to cover on the road and win here. I think the Packers right now, besides having a real big X factor at wide receiver, everywhere else, they're basically perfect. They are essentially flawless. Last week, while missing offensive linemen, they still performed at a very top-tier level. Josh Jacobs is a great running back. Jordan Love is playing out of his mind so far this season. We haven't seen the slow slump yet. Is it coming? Is the turnovers coming? Low completion percentage? We haven't seen it yet. So maybe it's not coming this year, and Jordan Love is finally a fully fleshed out quarterback. We'll wait and see, though. But wide receivers, they have enough depth. Michael Golden? Matthew Golden, the rookie. He's doing okay. Not great, but it doesn't matter. You have so many wide receivers. They just keep plucking and pulling guys in and out like nobody's business. Keep people fresh. Tucker Kraft is having a great year so far as well. I believe he'll be out. He's banged up, or maybe a game-time decision. We'll have to see. Their defense, Micah Parsons, he hasn't even played like a full defensive series yet. Or rather defensive game. He's still, on a snap count right now. So imagine him out there, full defensive game. What's the defense that's already great going to look like with him playing every single snap essentially on defense? The Packers are a damn near perfect team, and it looks like this is going to be Joe Flacco's last game starting. That's what it seems to be. People are now, praising Dylan Gabriel to get out there, and maybe Kevin Stefanski will pull the plug on the Joe Flacco experiment and get Gabriel out there, which is also why I said Shador, this is his best opportunity to start, because they have a 40-year-old quarterback who basically hasn't played a full season in how long? A long-ass time, so we'll have to see. But yeah, give me the Packers to cover on the road, the -7.5 point spread, and get the win here. Next one, Raiders at the Commanders. Geno Smith, who just threw 3 interceptions against the Chargers, go up against Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels will be out for this game, and Austin Eckler's already out with a torn Achilles. So what will this look like? I'll still give it to the Commanders. Overall, they have more talent across the board. Their offensive line scares me a little bit, but I think that with Deebo Samuel, with the 2 very young running backs, with an offensive line that, again, not great, with obviously Terry McLaurin, with Zach Ertz, who, by the way, Zach Ertz, if you have him on your fantasy team, he's done okay so far, pretty well. I wish I had him. Although I'll take Trey McBride over it any day of the week. The Commanders' defense has been all right. You're going up against Week 1 against the Giants. You're probably going to win through and through, as we saw there. Week 2 wasn't great. It really wasn't. Going up against the Green Bay Packers and them just smoking you. I will take the Raiders, who are not a great team. I'll take the Commanders to win and cover. This was -2.5, and I loved it. -3, I don't love as much. This might be a +3 just to get the push, because I do think this will be a relatively close game, but I think the Commanders could pull it out. At least a 4-point victory and get the win over the Raiders at home. The next one, upset alert here. I'm going with the Rams to obviously cover the +3.5 point spread and upset the Eagles straight up, because the way that the Eagles are playing, there's already, again, for the past 3 straight seasons, including this one, we've seen turmoil about the passing game. A.J. Brown last year, even after they were winning games, he goes in the press conference and says, well, we got to work on our passing game. And in this season, Jalen Hurts is passing, I think, 20 times at the most per game this year? I mean, he's doing nothing in the passing game. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they're going to get frustrated. If A.J. Brown isn't frustrated now, he will be, because that's just what he has been doing so far throughout his Eagles tenure when he doesn't get the ball much. But the Rams, yeah, they're dealing with a couple injuries here and there, but Matt Stafford's been tremendous. The overall team has been great. The defense is still great. The offense with Puka Nacua, he got his head banged in and it was bleeding. He still comes out there and puts up 100 yards. Devontae Adams is still great, making an impact. So give me the dink and dunk stopping Los Angeles Rams over an Eagles team, which their running game isn't as explosive. Their passing game is non-existent. I mean, the writing's on the wall, and I get, even if the Eagles win by 3, I still get the +3.5 by the Rams. I'll take the loss, but the points spread I care more about. It's my worst record. So give me the Rams straight up. Obviously cover the +3.5 point spread. Another upset, Texans at Jaguars. Give me the Texans +1.5 and a complete upset over the Jaguars. Offensively, the Jaguars can't figure out what to do with Brian Thomas, who right now is making business decisions on whether or not he wants to go to the hospital with some of Trevor Lawrence's throws last week against the Bengals. Running game. It's all right. Travis Etienne's doing a fine job. He had a great week 1. Week 2 wasn't as great. But yeah, Brian Thomas, who's supposed to be this great wide receiver, who, by the way, with Mac Jones, looked pretty damn good. With Trevor Lawrence out there not performing up to his contract, which that's all I'm looking for. He doesn't need to be, Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame level quarterback. I just want to see a level of competency. Him and Liam Cohen are already going at it with some of, Trevor Lawrence's inaccurate throws. But the Texans, they need to get something going. They were that close last week to winning. I'm wondering if they could finally pull it out this week against the Jaguars, who their defense isn't great. Somehow, Jake Browning was able to throw 3 picks, and the Jaguars still ended up losing. Now imagine if they just don't get any interceptions and give the ball back to the Jaguars and the Texans just keep control of the clock. Nick Chubb's not that bad. I mean, coming off an injury, not playing great, then coming over to Houston, he had a couple of very nice runs last week. So I'll take the Texans in an upset victory. 1.5 point spread. It's not really that much of an upset here. But I'll take the Texans on the road. They got to figure out something. The offense looks really bad right now. I need CJ Stroud to figure that out. The offensive line, again, is abysmal. But going against the Jacksonville defense, which isn't that great anyway, I'll take the Texans in an upset. This game is just full of injuries here. Jets at Buccaneers. Tristan Wirfs, I believe, is still out. Chris Godwin is still out for this game. Luke Gedeke is to be out for this game. Kalijah Cansey's out on defense. The Jets, they're down Justin Fields. I mean, this is just full of injuries right here. So give me a relatively low-scoring game. I think the Jets at a plus 6.5 point spread, they'll be able to cover because I saw what Tyrod Taylor did against the Buffalo Bills. He operated the offense pretty nicely. Now, they were down, by 20? It doesn't really matter, but the fact that you can still be relatively productive, and we saw him on the Giants operate the Giants offense better than Tommy DeVito, than Drew Lock, and Daniel Jones. So Tyrod Taylor can still play. It's just, what's his big thing? One hit and he's going to be injured. He's kind of like that Tua situation. One hit and he's done. I think it'll be a relatively close game. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win, but the Jets will cover the 6.5 point spread. The next one, technically the most efficient offense in the NFL, the Indianapolis Colts over the Tennessee Titans for me, and they'll cover the 4.5 point spread. The Titans have no offensive prowess whatsoever. They have no defense, a really good defense. L'Jarius Sneed, their big offseason pickup, take away from the Kansas City Chiefs last year. He's one of the worst cornerbacks from right now, giving up a 97 pass rating when targeted at. He is technically their worst major cornerback that they have. Meanwhile, the Colts, Daniel Jones right now leads the league in passing EPA. Their Colts are ranked number 1 in passing EPA. And then total EPA, including rushing and everything like that, the Colts are tied with the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. So the offense of the Colts has been incredible. So give me, and the defense is a little bit lackluster. They'll need to pick it up slightly. But with Daniel Jones cooking, Danny Dimes cooking, maybe Danny Dimes turns into Danny Dollars. I'll take the Indianapolis Colts minus 4.5 point spread to beat out the Tennessee Titans on the road. The next one, Rodgers and the Steelers. After a pitiful performance, I say that continues against the New England Patriots because I have another upset. Give me the New England Patriots at home to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers and cover the plus 1.5 point spread here. Rodgers did not look good. He had one really good game, and that's what my question was against the Jets. Was it strictly a revenge game? Because Justin Fields looked unstoppable. The defense was non-existent, but still, the two quarterbacks that were going head-to-head, this was a revenge game for both of them, and they played out of their minds. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns. Would you believe? The Bill Belichick defense, right? The issue is they can't get to the quarterback. They're number 1 in sack pressure this season. They're also, I think, a top 3 team in pressure rate this season. So they're getting after the quarterback this year. And might I add, last week, they were able to do a pretty decent job at getting to Tua. He just moved outside the pocket a little bit and made some plays. But they were without Keon White and Christian Gonzalez. Now, I believe both those players are questionable for this game. But I think overall, it's not going to matter. I just think that this pass rush already has done tremendous. So I'll say that continues against an Aaron Rodgers who isn't that mobile. If you can get Rodgers pressured in the pocket, he'll go down or make a bad throw. Give me the Patriots in an upset. Drake May, he's improving. He has a long way to get there, but he's improving in this offense. Ramondre Stevenson last week, he looked like his rookie year. He was that dominant against the Miami Dolphins defense, although we just saw what the Dolphins defense did against the Buffalo Bills and James Cook, and it was pretty ugly with the running game. So we'll see. I think that fits in pretty nicely. Give me the Patriots in an upset at home over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next one, Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals heading over to Minnesota with a pretty injured Vikings team, but I don't think that'll matter because when it's all said and done, my argument for the Raiders why they wouldn't be good last year was they had 2 quarterbacks, which means they have 0. In this case, J.J. McCarthy's going to be out for another 2 to 4 weeks, putting Carson Wentz. And what everybody's saying, what I kind of agree with is Carson Wentz is a slight upgrade over J.J. McCarthy. So if you have a slightly better quarterback with a pretty good defense with Brian Flores, that should be a recipe for success. Now, Aaron Jones, he's out. I believe he's on the IR right now, so that's not great for you. But I think overall, I do not think that if Jake Browning has another high interception game, that the Vikings will not take advantage of that opportunity and score on those turnovers. So if Carson Wentz could just operate an offense better than Trevor Lawrence can, with Justin Jefferson, with TJ Hawkinson, with Jordan Mason, who's not too bad, give me the Vikings minus 3 points spread. I'll take the Vikings in a win at home, and they cover the point spread. Next one, Falcons, minus 5.5 point favorites on the road at Carolina. I'll keep this really short and sweet. The Falcons have a pass rush now. Past couple of years, they've had one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. They have a pass rush now. Bryce Young, he was your bounce back quarterback last year, and he did bounce, but then he bounced back to what he used to be in his rookie year because he is that close. If he didn't have like a near comeback performance against the Cardinals, I think after this game, if he loses this game, I have them losing this game. But if he didn't bounce back against the Cardinals and nearly beat them, there's a serious shot. I think we could be looking at a backup quarterback situation moving on to week 4 and replacing Bryce Young because he is that close to getting benched, in my opinion. Because what are you going to do? He hasn't played well. He's not good. Michael Penix, he did a Michael Jordan dive for the end zone last week. I mean, he's played pretty well. Kyle Pitts looks good. Drake London looks good. Bijan Robinson looks like a top-tier player. I don't think this is relatively hard to predict. I got screwed a little bit last week because I picked the Cardinals to beat the Panthers by 6.5. It was a relatively, I think they won by 5, so I got screwed here. But give me the Falcons here. I don't think the Falcons will choke late game like the Cardinals almost did. So give me the Falcons minus 5.5 to cover on the road in Carolina. Next one, Broncos at Chargers. My guy Bowen not looking good. He played really well through like the first 2.5, 3 quarters against the Colts. And in the fourth quarter, weird play calls, one really bad interception. It didn't look great at the very end of the game. And the defense let Daniel Jones cook against them. Unfortunately, I don't think for me at least, because I'm a Bo Nix fan, Broncos are not going to look good. I think the way that the Chargers are playing like a top 3 team in the AFC, maybe top 3 or top 5 team in the NFL right now. Their defense is on point, forcing turnovers. They forced Geno Smith to have 3 interceptions last week. Week 1, they did a pretty good job against Patrick Mahomes. So I'll take the Chargers here, minus 3 point spread. This was minus 2.5 before today. The point spread moved today to minus 3. I don't think that'll really matter. I think 4 points is not crazy to say when you're thinking about what the Chargers are, even down. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt has been incredible moving over from the other side. He's been absolutely insane so far this season. There really hasn't been any dip in his performance whatsoever. And by the way, Drain Greenlaw's out. Evan Ingram, tight end, he'll be out for this game. There's a couple guys for Denver that I do not think that they could really afford losing. Riley Moss got killed. Daniel Jones was, cooking Pat Surtain last week as well. He did not fear the former Defensive Player of the Year. Give me the Chargers minus 3 over the Denver Broncos. Next one, Seattle Seahawks going up against the Saints. Give me Seattle straight up to cover and win this game over New Orleans. Spencer Rattler's not the guy. He isn't. I'm waiting for them to figure out what their next quarterback will be. I think you got to move on from Spencer Rattler. He has yet to win a game. I believe he's 0-8 so far in his NFL career. Yeah, he puts up a couple nice throws here and there, but the wins is what matters. When it's all said and done, are you winning football games? And he's not. Going up against the Seahawks defense right now, which, by the way, I have them on fantasy. I hope they perform at a high level because I'm hoping they crush them here. I got the Seahawks minus 7.5. Hope the defense shuts down anything the Saints try to do, although I do have Alvin Kamara, so it's kind of counterintuitive there. I just hope he gets a bunch of yards. Give me the Seahawks to win and cover the minus 7.5 at home. Next one, Cowboys at the Chicago Bears. This was Chicago favored most of the week. And then late last night, it flipped to Cowboys minus 1.5. So I'm a little bit pissed off. I would have liked the Cowboys plus 1.5, but I don't think it'll matter. The Cowboys are a shock story. After losing Mike McCarthy, bring in Brian Schottenheimer, who was literally a head coach that nobody wanted, nobody asked for, but is now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He's done a decent job. Actually, he's done a pretty good job. Massive comeback against the New York Giants. Thanks to Russell Wilson throwing a late-game interception there. The defense could be a little bit better, but against the run, they're actually doing much better than they did last year. And going up against the Bears team, which, by the way, might be down DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams is looking really, really bad so far. Him and Ben Johnson don't seem to be on the same page. Ben Johnson, even though they just gave up 52 points last week to the Lions, was talking about fundamentals offensively, not even really commenting on his defense. That shows you how pissed off he is at Caleb Williams for not getting this offense figured out, because I think he's scheming up fine plays. Caleb Williams just holds on to the ball, and is inaccurate with the football. I have some data because, newsflash, this will be a Harvey Hot Hand pick for me. Give me the Cowboys. They're playing very well. I say that continues week 3 against the Chicago Bears. They win on the road and cover the 1.5 point spread. Next one, Cardinals at 49ers. It looks like Mac Jones will be the starter, but, however, Brock Purdy could back him up. He's healthy enough to potentially come in if Mac Jones performs poorly or gets hurt, but he's not healthy enough to start, so it'll be Mac Jones going up against the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm taking the 49ers straight up here. Minus 2.5 points spread. Give it to me all the way. Mac Jones last week against the Saints did a great job. He was cooking. Nice touch pass, CMC in the end zone, finding Juwan Jennings on a big-time touchdown, as well as giving it to the backup tight end as well for another touchdown here. 3 touchdowns, 113 passer rating. The big one for me was no interceptions. Last time we saw Mac in any capacity of being a real starter, didn't look great, looked nervous. Under Kyle Shanahan, he operated the offense at a high level. It was a slow start. He went like 0-4, but once he got into rhythm, he looked pretty nice. His throwing motion scares me a little bit because as a Patriots fan, I always expect interceptions now, but he looked pretty good against the New Orleans Saints. I say that continues against the Cardinals. Give me the 49ers straight up. Cover the 2.5 points spread at home against Arizona. Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at Giants. The Giants coming off of a soul-crushing loss against the Dallas Cowboys with Russell Wilson throwing for well over 400 yards against the Dallas Cowboys. But does that matter to me? Not at all. Give me the Chiefs for their first victory of the season against the New York Giants. I think, in reality, I'm trying to figure out what would the Chiefs' kingdom look like if they somehow get upset by New York. I can't even fathom the thought. So I have to pick the Chiefs here. They have to figure out a way to get back on track and get into what we know the Chiefs to be, a highly competitive team, a team that gets very lucky. Mahomes right now, Mahomes is their best rusher so far. He's the only passer, but he's also the best rusher. So the offense has been pretty bad. The defense has been shockingly poor. Chris Jones really hasn't done much. They're already going at each other on defense, arguing and whatnot throughout the game. Travis Kelce's pissed off on the sideline. They need to get this stuff figured out. I say they do against the New York Giants, whose defense right now is dead last. Give me the Chiefs. Sunday Night Football. Beat out the New York Giants and cover the 5.5 point spread. And finally, Monday Night Football. My Detroit Lions, who I've been rooting for the last 3 years, hoping they succeed, going against the Baltimore Ravens, and it's not going to matter. Give me the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, we all know, NFC, at home, he dominates them all the time. He has 2 losses, one against Daniel Jones in 2022 and against Jalen Hurts, I believe, last year. So he dominates NFC teams. He has like the best record against NFC teams in NFL history. So I say that continues here. He dominates the Detroit Lions. They get a big-time victory and cover the 5.5 point spread. I like a lot of these picks. It hurts me to pick against the Detroit Lions. It hurts me to pick against the Denver Broncos, but I'm in the business of being right. That's what I'm in the business of being right. So I got to take my heart out of it a little bit, and I got to say, you know what? It has to be done. Rip the Band-Aid off. They're probably going to lose, so I'm going to pick them to lose here.
Okay.
I feel confident in my picks.
Okay, good.
Your turn now.
Okay, well, so we tied last night. We both picked the Bills, and we both missed on the point spread. Prater had made that field goal in the first half, and we would have covered the point spread too.
That wasn't blocked too. That was just a really bad kick.
Just backed. I mean, it missed like a mile.
It was.
I mean,
bad.
what was he doing? It went
bad.
so far left. It was amazing. I never. I think I could have kicked it that badly. Okay, moving on to Green Bay at Cleveland. I've got Green Bay like you did, and I think they cover. Joe Flacco has the worst EPA of any quarterback. It's minus 23.9. It's more than 10 points worse than the next worst, which is J.J. McCarthy at minus 13.2. He's immobile and struggles against pressure. I don't think he's going to be in there much longer. Green Bay has an effective pass rush, rushing only 4. And now Micah Parsons is there, and he's been on a snap count, but he's getting better. So I think it's going to be a long day for Cleveland. Jordan Love also looking very good, off to a great start. So give me the Packers. Raiders at Commanders. I like the Commanders, minus 3. Even though Jalen Daniels is out, I think the Commanders at home win and cover. Mariota has performed well in his 4 Commanders starts. The defense ranks 2nd overall in pressure percentage, 48.1%, which will be a big problem for the Raiders, who have not been able to get the running game going with Ashton Gianti. They're in the bottom. He's in the bottom 5 of running backs. And Geno Smith throwing interceptions. He had 3 last week, went under pressure. So the Commanders are at home with 9 days rest compared to the Raiders, who played on Monday Night Football, I think think the Commanders are going to win that game. The Rams at the Eagles, I think this one will be close. And boy, that playoff game last year was a great one. I won't forget that one anytime soon. And the Rams will be looking for revenge. But I think the Eagles, being off to a really quite a good start here, 2-0, and the Rams have injuries at starting corner. They don't have the starting corner in there. The defensive tackle, Brendan Kisk, is out, and starting guard Steve Avila is questionable. So I think the Eagles have won 2 in a row without much of a passing game, which I think maybe they get that going a little bit this week to complement what is an excellent running game. I still think the Eagles win at home and cover. Moving on to the Texans and the Jaguars, I agree with you. This is going to be an upset. I'm surprised the Jaguars are picked the way they played last week. I got the Texans winning. They won 10 of their last 11 at the Jaguars. I don't see them going 0-3. Trevor Lawrence didn't have a good game last week. He didn't take care of the ball in week 2. He's still suspect in my mind, and I think Liam Cohen is thinking the same thing. So give me the Texans plus 1.5. Jets at the Bucs. Man, what a game that Baker Mayfield had last week against the Texans. That was really something. I think the way that fourth quarter down last minute drive when it was 4th down, he's back there. The Texans all around him. He wiggles out of there and runs for the first down. Wow. He's having a great season so far. I like the Bucs to beat the Jets. They're at home. They won that thrilling game against the Texans last week. Mayfield playing well in the clutch. I think that's key. Let's see. I think it bodes well. The Texans have an aggressive defense, solid, and will be much for Tyrod Taylor. I think. I don't think that Tyrod Taylor has some good games, but he's subbing for the injured Justin Fields. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt, because it's been his history is he gets in there and he gets too aggressive and he winds up getting hurt. The Jets weren't much competition for the Bills, losing 30-10. I think this could be a close because the Bucs injuries, and you mentioned them all there. They got a lot of people that are hurt. I still think they'll cover because they got Baker Mayfield. He's going to be the difference maker again in this game. Colts and the Titans. I like the Colts. The Titans are banged up on the O-line. Has given up a league high 11 sacks, and Cam Ward is a rookie quarterback. Although the Colts defense is ranked 19th, I think they'll perform well enough against the Titans. The Colts offense looks to be one of the best, with Daniel Jones, number 5 in QBR at 87.5, and Jonathan Taylor running at an average of 5.5 yards per carry. I think the Colts win and cover on Sunday. Moving on to the Steelers and the Patriots. Patriots at home. Tomlin has never lost to Vrabel. He's 4-0 against him when Vrabel was with the Titans. But his team can't run the ball, and they can't stop the run. They wore down against Seattle in the second half, giving up big runs, and they rank last in rushing. First downs allowed, 21, and 29th in explosive runs allowed. They've given up 10. The Pats have speed and athleticism. We've seen the rebirth of Ramondre Stevenson last week in the backfield to exploit the aging Steelers defense. They have a strong front seven to exploit Pittsburgh's offense with is one-dimensional, relying on Aaron Rodgers' arm. They've got no running game. So give me the Patriots to upset the Steelers plus 1.5. Bengals at the Vikings. I had a tough time with this one. Thought a lot about it, but I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think O'Connell makes Wentz look good somehow, and the Bengals defense makes him look even better. It will be close as Aaron Jones is out and Jordan Addison's suspended. Browning may not be Joe Burrow, but he is throwing it to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Vikings win it. They're at home. And O'Connell makes what we thought were has-been quarterbacks look good. So maybe this will be a Carson Wentz rebirth. We'll have to wait and see. Atlanta at the Panthers. I've got Atlanta winning this game and covering the point spread. Bryce Young played better in week 2. He had 3 TDs, but he leads the league in turnovers with 5. Actually, I have the Commanders. The Panthers covering the point spread. So this is one the Falcons are going to win, but the Panthers cover. Their offense only averaging 16 points a game, which is 29th. Atlanta, you mentioned their pass rush has improved. They had 6 sacks last week, and quarterback pressure rates 46.3. That's 4th best. Panthers defense is weak, and Bijan Robinson rushed for 143 yards last week. So I think the Falcons are going to find a way to win this game. The Broncos against the Chargers. I like the Chargers a lot. I'm sorry, I like the Broncos a lot, but I think the Chargers look to be a Super Bowl contender this year. While Bo Nix may be having a sophomore slump, throwing 3 interceptions already. The Broncos defense, thought to be one of the best, gave up 473 yards and 6 scores to the Colts, who didn't punt once. Khalil Mack is out, and McConkey is questionable. But Justin Herbert looks great, I think. 4th in quarterback QBR at 88.9. The Chargers' running game has been a weak point, ranked 25th. But I still think the Chargers are going to find a way to win this game. Moving on to the Saints and the Seahawks. Seahawks have NFL leading quarterback pressure rate at 49.4% on pass rush snaps, which will be very tough for a poor Saints offense to handle. Sam Darnold played, I think, a lot better in week 2. 22 with 33, 295, 66.7% completion percentage, 2 TDs, but he did throw 2 interceptions as well. Saints ranked 20th in total offense with 311 yards per game. Spencer Rattler, as you mentioned, yet to win a game in the NFL as a starter. The defense ranking is better at number 14, 310 yards a game, and better than Seattle at 18 at 325 a game. But Seattle's offense ranks 19th, but played much better in week 2 against the Steelers, and I think will play well enough to beat the Saints on Sunday. Moving on to the Cardinals at the 49ers. Cowboys at Bears. I agree with you. The Cowboys are going to find a way to win this game. Caleb Williams' bad rookie habit of scrambling around to make big plays rather than checkdowns continues this year, and that's not good for the Bears, and they haven't won a game yet as a result. He ranks 16th in QBR through week 2. Dallas gave up 450 yards passing and 3 TDs to Russell Wilson last week, so maybe this is Williams' week to win. Unfortunately, the Bears' defense ranks 28th, and the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens, and a rushing game that ranks 11th in the league, which I think will be too much for the Bears, who will fall to 0-3. The Cardinals and the 49ers. I think the Cardinals have less than 300 yards of total offense and wins against the Saints. And the Panthers go against the 49ers defense, which is ranked number 6. Whether it's Purdy or Jones, expect to see a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey. Probably more in the short passing game, as the Cardinals are good against the run. They're number 6. Despite the 49ers injuries, I think they'll beat the Cardinals. Moving on to the Sunday night game, Kansas City at the Giants. I think the Chiefs, despite their injuries and their problems, prohibitive favorites against the Giants. Chiefs are 0-2, and this is a must-win for them. They can't go 0-3 if they think they're going to be a playoff team. Despite their offensive weaknesses, poor protection, unreliable pass catchers, an ineffective running game. They have Mahomes, so we'll find a way to beat the Giants. The defense, which is ranked last in the league, the Giants, that is, 29th in passing, 32nd in rushing. We talked about the Giants earlier. The Chiefs' defense will shut down Russell Wilson's deep passing game, I think, who's been one of the least effective passers on throws of 9 yards or less since the beginning of last season. So he's not a good dink and dunker, and that's what they're going to make him do, and that's a good reason why the Giants are going to lose. The Lions and the Ravens, I'm with you. I think the Ravens are going to find a way to win this game. Goff and Jackson are tied for the most TD passes this season so far at 6. Goff leads the league in completion percentage, 80.6%, not bad. And Jackson leads in passer rating, 136.6. That's great, too. Home field advantage and Lamar's performance on Monday night football give the Ravens the advantage, I think. The Ravens' home winning percentage at 763 is in primetime games is a leading statistic. Lamar 7-2 with 22 TDs, no interceptions on Monday Night Football. Going to be too much for the Lions, and those are my picks.
We have basically the same win-loss. In fact, we do have the exact same win. No, we actually have one different.
What's the difference?
The Rams-Eagles. Those are the only differences between me and you.
How about the point spreads? I have the...
I have the Rams covering, and I have the Falcons covering. Outside of that, and I have the Jets covering.
How about the Texans? Don't you have
I have
them?
the Texans covering, but outside of that, I had Jets, Eagles, and...
Now, how about the Panthers? I said the Panthers would cover.
Exactly, yeah. So it's Rams for me, Jets for me, Falcons for me. Those are the only differences we have in points. But otherwise, we're on the exact same step. So
well, we hope it's a great week for us then.
Exactly. All right, my favorite topic of every single show that we do here on Fridays especially, it's the Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it is basically where I pick the 5 teams you should bet on. We had a rough week last week. Very rough. But history tells us that I will bounce back as strong as I ever have. So let's go for a 5-0 start of week 3 here. And if this is brought to you by Dr. Squatch, use the link down below. If you spend $10 or more, you get 3 free limited time bricks for new customers. So make sure you support the channel. Thank you so much for your constant support. Let's begin week 3's Harvey Hot Hand. We went 1-5 last week. It was rough. We went on 0-5 if we didn't have a late time audible to throw the Chargers in there. So let's see if we can bounce back. Have confidence. We're still at above. I think we're at a 56% winning percentage. It's not great. But you know what? It'll be okay. So let's begin with the first one of week 3's Harvey Hot Hand, which is
Falcons at Panthers.
Give me the Falcons here in a victory over the Carolina Panthers and to cover right now, because I can't believe that I'm saying this based on what we saw last season. But if we take a look at the data, the Falcons have a top 4 defense in the NFL. They're second in points allowed, second in total yards per game allowed, 4th in yards per play allowed, 4th in passer rating allowed, 4th in pressure rate, and 3rd in sack percentage. Those bottom 2 were what they were terrible at last year. With Matt Judon and with all these pieces that they had, they could not get to the quarterback. And this year, with their draft picks and with their offseason acquisitions, they are significantly better. They are currently a top 4 defense in the NFL. So going up against Bryce Young, who bounced back to his rookie year after he bounced forward in your bounce quarterback situation, he bounced all the way back to his rookie year, and he's not looking great. He still isn't looking great. Will he ever look great? Probably not. Even with Ted McMillan out there, who they just keep giving him weapons, he can't figure it out. So give me the Falcons, who are looking pretty good. Give me them in a 10-point victory, 24-14, and they cover the 5.5 point spread on the road against Carolina. The next one,
Cowboys at Bears.
Give me the Cowboys here in a big-time victory. I think it's going to be high-scoring. Both defenses aren't great. The Bears have, I think, the worst defense, or I think they're 30th, actually, in defense. They looked terrible last week against the Detroit Lions. While the Cowboys, their defense looked bad against Russell Wilson, but their offense was great. Dak Prescott, like I said right before the season started, we'll see some MVP-level type performance from Dak Prescott. I just had that feeling, and that's what we've seen so far. And on top of the fact, we're in a situation where Ben Johnson, who we just saw dominate on the Detroit Lions with a very, very well-built team, goes over to the Chicago Bears, who are actually really well-built with a potential great quarterback. As everyone says, a generational quarterback that I never really believed. However, After the first drive in these first two games, the next 20 drives, this is what Caleb Williams is. A really bad quarterback. 55% completion percentage, 6 yards an attempt basically, 2 total touchdowns to 1 interception, and a passer rating of 77. I mean, after the first two drives, he has been a terrible quarterback. And I think we're starting to see that Ben Johnson talking about Tyson Bagent and his fundamentals, and they just got blown out by the Detroit Lions. They let up 52 points, and Ben Johnson's talking about how we need to work on the offense. Doesn't even care about the defense. So that just shows you where Ben Johnson is, his frustration level with the number 1 overall pick in the 2 years ago draft. I mean, this generational talent, when are we going to start seeing it? I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. The Bears have talent. It's not like the Bears are void of talent. They rebuilt the interior of the offensive line. They have Colson Loveland, a very promising tight end, and then Cole Kmet to back him up, who's also really good. You have Darnell Mooney, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. I mean, I need to see a level of success here. Your offense should be much better than it actually is. Give me the Cowboys, who are shockingly really good. Give me them in a big-time victory, 31-27 over the Chicago Bears. They obviously covered the 1.5-point spread. The next game.
Saints at Seahawks.
Give me the Seahawks in a victory. It's 7.5 points. We're taking a big-time point spread. Actually, the next 4 out of the 5 of these are decently high point spreads, but this should be a blowout. Spencer Rattler, 0-8, doesn't beat anybody, doesn't look particularly great. The Seattle Seahawks right now, their defense is still great. Sam Darnold, he's all right. Not great, but you know what? We'll have to wait and see. I think Kenneth Walker, he'll have a great game this week. I think right now the Seahawks, they're just a significantly better team. This should be a blowout. They'll cover the 7.5. Their defense is going to shut down anything Spencer Rattler in this offense, New Orleans Saints offense, tries to do. This is a big-time victory for Seattle. Give me them to cover the 7.5 point spread. They win 27-13. Next one.
Lions at Ravens.
Big one. Big time game. Give me the Ravens minus 5.5 over the Detroit Lions. The Ravens defense, it needs a little bit of improvement. The offensive line is, again, not great. They need to work on it, but with just Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, we remember the last time these teams played. I think the Ravens were up 35-0 at halftime. They couldn't do anything offensively, the Detroit Lions did, against this Baltimore Ravens team, and I think we'll see something relatively similar with the Ravens just going out here and being a very, very dominant team. I think we might be overreacting a little bit to a Detroit Lions Week 2 win because they played against the Chicago Bears, who just allowed J.J. McCarthy, who we know through 2 weeks does not look great, to have a phenomenal fourth quarter comeback, have 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and look great. I think that says much more about the Chicago Bears than it did the Detroit Lions, and in this game, the Ravens got outgained, I believe, by the Cleveland Browns or close to it, and they still were able to dominate them. DeAndre Hopkins, he hasn't really played much, but he's made incredible catches every time he's out there. He had a great catch last week, so I think right now this offense is clicking. The defense needs improvement. The offensive line, which has been an issue, it obviously will improve over the course of time like it did last year, but Lamar Jackson is just him. In my opinion, he's growing into or is already the perfect quarterback here. His ability to throw the football has improved drastically, and also with Todd Monken as the OC, and obviously his athletic ability is a one-of-one right now. So give me the Ravens. They cover the 5.5 point spread on Monday Night Football. They go out and beat the Detroit Lions 35-27. And finally, the last game of the Harvey Hot Hand for Week 3 is it playing? It's not.
Titans.
There we go. The Colts at the Titans. It glitched out for me. I apologize for that. But yeah, give it the Colts minus 4.5 over the Tennessee Titans. The Titans defensively are not great. L'Jarius Sneed, their big-time offseason acquisition a couple years ago, he has nearly a 98 passer rating allowed when targeted. Daniel Jones right now is the second best passer in the NFL. No, but again, saying that sounds crazy. All you got to do, it's one Google search. That's all you got to do to find out that, yeah, he is the second best quarterback. EPA per play right now, total offense, the Colts are tied with the Bills and the Ravens at number 1. Strictly passing, the Colts are number 1. And that's a Daniel Jones-led offense. Jonathan Taylor has been incredible this season. Their running game is great. Their passing game has been tremendous. Their defense needs a little bit of work. But with Danny Dimes cooking like he is so far, going up against a Titans team that's not great, Cam Ward's been pretty bad. Offensive line's an issue. Not great talent out wide. Calvin Ridley hasn't done anything. I don't trust Tony Pollard in the backfield. Their defense has been lackluster. It's a divisional game. Give me the Colts to win by 7, 28-21. They cover the 4.5 point spread. And Danny Dimes moves to 3-0 in his first 3 games with the Indianapolis Colts. And those are my picks for the Harvey Hot Hand. Again, down below, if you use the link in the description, if you for new customers, $10 or more on Dr. Squatch using that link, you get 3 limited time bricks, a value of $24, absolutely free. Thank you for the constant support as always. And as per usual, I get your opinion on my picks for Week 3, my Harvey Hot Hand picks.
I'm a little surprised you didn't think that Kansas City can beat the Giants by at least 5.5 points.
I picked the Cowboys to cover the 4.5 against the Giants last week, and I got burnt badly. So I'm not trusting the Kansas City team, who looks bad on both sides of the ball.
The other ones, I think, maybe the Raiders against the Commanders, -3.
Commanders have a backup quarterback. I don't know what they'll look like.
But Mariota's played well for them.
Again, I don't know what they'll look like.
Yeah. Okay, but those are the only 2 that I might have swapped.
Okay, fair enough. The Patriots one I was thinking about.
I don't know. I think that game, I'm not sure about that one. I'm picking them to win because I'm a fan. That's the main reason I picked them to win. I think Aaron Rodgers still got something going. The problem with the Steelers, they got no running game. They have to get something going on the run, because if the Patriots just lay back and and they've got now they have a pass rush, that could be a long day for Aaron Rodgers if he can't get the running game going. And I'm surprised, because Arthur Smith is supposed to be a ground and pound type offensive coordinator.
Well, again, you have Jaylen Warren as your running back 1. I never thought that was a good idea.
Why didn't they get somebody better in the offseason?
Well, Najee Harris go.
I know.
That might have been a mistake, although he wanted big-time money, so who knows. All right, that wraps it up for today's episode of the Harvey Hour. We thank you for the constant support as always. We'll be back Tuesday to cover every single game from Week 3, as well as some of the top headlines as well. But stay tuned for that. For this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your host of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.